Hi, I'm Winston. The local body elections are coming up. So I thought, why don't we just interview some of the candidates to see, why are they running and kind of who they are as people. All this week is going to be the Central Ward candidates, which is the most competitive ward in Christchurch. And today, Friday, is Jake McLellan. So enjoy getting to know these candidates. They're not, super hard questions. And they're, about 15 minutes long at the most. And be sure to vote in the local elections because the local elections are so important. Thanks for watching and here's the interview. Introduce yourself, who are you?
Sure, I'm Jake McLellan. I'm the councillor for the ward, have been for 6 years, and before that I was on a community board, so I've been the representative for this area for, believe it or not, 9 years now, and I love it just as much as I did on day one. I live down the road from the new Parakiori Recreation and Sports Centre. So if that's not an encouragement to get to the gym, then nothing else is going to work for me. I went to school at Otawhiri, school set up by Vicky Buck, who now coincidentally a few years later, I'm on a board with. And I've lived everywhere in the ward, really. The CBD, Phillipstown, where I also went to school for one term when me and my family moved up here from Invercargill. And I've lived in Richmond and Linwood and went did a year at Linwood College before going to Otawhiri, or as it was then, Unlimited. So that's a little about me.
You've mentioned you've been the councillor since 2019. So why are you running a third time?
Fundamentally, because there's always more stuff to do. You always get new ideas, and when you've got a set of values, there's always more you can do to achieve against those things. And I guess on a more personal note, as I said before, I love the job more than I thought I was going to when I first put my hand up, and my enthusiasm probably hasn't wavered an inch since then. So love the feedback, love talking to people. I particularly enjoy the election process. It's a good excuse to get out at the doors and chat to people, and you do it a few times, and you certainly get a trace of what people are thinking and feeling about the city.
Yeah. The Central Ward is probably one of the most competitive. Why should people pick you over, the newer people who are running?
Good. I met most of my opponents for the first time last night, and they're good people, and naturally they all think they could do better, and that's probably something almost every resident thinks they could do when if only they got the job. But look, I think the last 3 years and last 6 years we've achieved a lot. The Linwood Village is looking remarkable. When I was first campaigning in 2019, it was something that almost everyone raised with me as just a sign of neglect from council, and it was a safety issue as well. And now it looks great. It was promised after the earthquakes and never delivered. It's been delivered now, and we've had a program called Greening the East to up the green amenity, plant more trees. The city centre feels like it's going from strength to strength, and so I think I've certainly. I think I've delivered for not just the CBD part of my ward, which it would be really easy just to focus on the CBD because it's cool and sexy, but actually the residential parts, Richmond, Linwood, Phillipstown, Charleston, I've made sure that they haven't been left behind at all.
Yeah. What do you do in your free time, like hobbies, stuff like that?
Yeah, probably nothing particularly exciting. I would love to say rock climbing or I don't know, deep sea fishing or something like that. I don't know, caving, diving. But really, I just like to chill out at home and watch some things on Neon or Netflix or whatever subscription service I've got on the go, rotating between, or watching YouTube. There's an awful amount of city planning videos out there about all sorts of nerdy things that you can do um, in a city space. So nothing super exciting.
Yeah. What music do you enjoy?
All sorts, really. I've just bought a vinyl record player a few weeks ago, so I'm enjoying procuring a few of the classic albums of all time and discovering that they're classics for a reason. And there's something to be enjoyed with listening a whole album, particularly in that format, that vinyl format. So Fleetwood Mac, Rumours, Dark Side of the Moon, and Nirvana. Um, they've been um, they've been sort of high on my list of um, of things I've been listening to lately.
Hmm. What has been your biggest accomplishment this term as councillor?
Um, I'm going to do the typical politician thing and try and do a double header. I think locally, as I've already mentioned, some of the progress in the Linwood Phillipstown area. There's well, yeah, that's actually something for next term. But at that citywide level, and I say two things because I think there's in this role there's very much the things you do for the local community, and then there's the contribution you make to citywide governance. And at that citywide governance level, um, getting a local alcohol policy in place has been a long fought battle that many have sought for us to do, and finally we've done it. And it's going to have a real reduction where alcohol causes the most harm, which is in off licenses. So that is a piece of work that will benefit the city for forever and save lives and reduce family harm. So hard not to be proud of that.
Yeah. And what is something you wish could have achieved this term?
Something I could have achieved this term. It I would do more faster, and they're all the things I plan to do next term. So I'm hoping to secure the future of the Phillipstown hub, but doing that is really contingent on the Ministry of Education. So it's not a controllable, but we're working with them now. We're working to do that as quickly as we can. The CBD shuttle, there's money on budget to bring that service back, but I, I would wish that work was more progressed. There's a timing issue there as well. Every year, the case for doing that becomes stronger, and the support for it becomes stronger. So, right time and right place. Um, I do think we've rolled out a policy around vacant land. That means that, hey, look, if you're not ready to develop, keep your land looking tidy because it's a public amenity and it detracts from the whole city to not do so. That has been a policy that not everyone agreed with, particularly the business community, but now it's in place. Everyone, including the mayor who voted against it at the time, now agrees was a good thing to do. I think we could probably extend that work. We've extended it to different suburbs across Christchurch, but perhaps we could now start to look at derelict buildings. So that's something I'd kind of like to do as well. So what I could have done this term is things that I want to do next term.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the next question, so you kind of answered that already. So
Mhm.
what is the best thing about Christchurch?
I think we're in a sweet spot in a lot of ways. We are of a good size that there's nothing you're not missing out on enough bars, enough restaurants, or any type of attraction that you want, or any job opportunity. There's we're not perfect in that space, but we're in a bit of a sweet spot between between urban and having an awesome backyard of the Port Hills of Banks Peninsula, and as they say, gateway to the South Island. So unlike Auckland, where you're stuck in traffic for 2 hours of your life every day, or can be, um, we just have that nice balance between opportunity and livability.
Yeah. Politics can be a rough place on people's mental health. How do you keep it in check?
Yeah, probably similar to one of your prior questions about what do you do to relax in your off time. I think it's really just about having good friends and making sure to have a proper day off. It's a varied job. Some weeks can be flat out, and some are quieter than others. But there can often be even just one thing every day. The weekend can either fill up or just have each day. I think it's really important that for at least one day a week you are not an elected member. You're a family member or a friend or just someone trying out a new restaurant or bar.
Hmm. Yeah. Local politics doesn't get the same media attention or voter turnout as the general election. Why do you think that is, and kind of what needs to be done, to get people voting?
Yeah, look, a national election is always going to be garner more attention. That's inherent. We are a touch point probably in people's life more so than central government is. You turn the tap on, the rubbish goes out. We're interacting with residents on a more frequent basis day to day, but it's also largely basic services. So that can that's just going to garner less attention. Um, Obviously it would be great if turnout was higher than what it is. In Central, it's 30% roughly. I think it'll be higher this time. I think having more candidates in the race will do that, but also as more and more people, Central's growing so quickly, and that mix changes, and so that's going to lift turnout. We used to be the worst turnout, now we're the second lowest, which is obviously not an achievement I'm proud of, but it's a trend in the right direction, and so that's just work we just have to continue to do. I mean, everyone campaigns in their own way, but I like to get out and do a bit of door knocking, and I think putting a face to a name and having a yarn with someone makes them feel a little less disconnected from the whole activity, and I know it lifts turnout.
Yeah. What is like an interesting fact that people may not know about you?
Um, I'm an avid collector of smart home products. So every light in the house, not every switch, to be fair. There are a few smart switches, but my house is quite old, so it's got a few of those old school ones, and the drawstrings as well. Um, but yeah, there's all the locks, all the lights, and everything, and a robot vacuum cleaner too. So it's only gone wrong once when the cat was a kitten and did a poo under the bed, and all of a sudden it was a massive mess. But apart from that one instance, the robot vacuum cleaner has been a real time saver.
Yeah. And then just the last question I had is, if you could speak directly to the voters, what will you say?
Um, I would say Christchurch is the best city in the country, and I think from my conversations, that's not just a slogan, or that's not just something that we bandy about in the Civic Building in Hereford Street. As I've gotten out to talk to people, it's actually a real feeling that lots of people are saying. Um, all the advantages of Wellington and Auckland without so many of the drawbacks, and we just have to capitalise on that and make sure that the earthquake peak that we're on, the peak of investment, isn't something that's squandered, and that it's equitable not just in the CBD but the other suburbs of my ward. get a cut of that prosperity, and I think we're doing that. So yeah, I think largely we're heading in the right direction, and I guess vote for me if you kind of think that that the whole system isn't broke, that it could always use improvement. We need to make sure we keep our public investment in PT if we want to not be like Auckland. And protecting city assets is a big focus of mine as well. That's how you keep a city affordable over the long run. You don't, take that sugar hit and then lose that long-term revenue stream. So, yeah, if you think things are pretty good but need a little bit of work, then vote for me. And if you think the whole place is a write-off, then you'll probably vote for someone else.